Hello everyone. We will give a few more minutes so everybody can join, and then we will start with today's session. So I see people slowly joining in, and I guess we can slowly start with today's webinar. So once again, hello everyone. Just few general housekeeping infos to start with. All attendees are on mute. Please use the chat window to ask any questions you may have. Please ask your questions as we go along, and when we come to our Q&A session at the end, we will answer all the questions. Please let me know if you have any issues with audio or video. Can you please just raise your hand or write in the chat if everybody can hear me? Okay. And yeah, this session is being recorded, and we will share it with you afterwards. Okay, so it seems everybody hears me okay. So today we are talking about security for home and office. We will talk about different approaches you can take when it comes to security, how to handle different scenarios, how to plan for a return to normal, or maybe this is the new normal and we need to adjust. We will talk about solutions that can help you with this change, and 3 key points that we need to focus on. We will also talk about service packages and how you can adapt your services to address these challenges. So, as I said, just please, as we go along, ask any questions you might have. So we need to, think about the security in, let's say, the new normal. When it comes to home office environments, there are many questions we for sure ask ourselves, or at least we need to ask ourselves. Is the Wi-Fi in the home office secure? Are the proper settings in place? Are the devices being used in a secure way, or does the person use the device for work and private things as well? This makes a big difference from security standpoint. Are the security measures in place? Are the things like applications, antiviruses up to date? Are we patching everything properly? Is there a backup in place, and so on? Also, what's really important is, are users informed and up to date with the current security trends? We see a big increase in phishing, spam, malware attacks. So 36.5% of ransomware attacks in Q4 2020 was focused on SMB companies, and one of the most popular attack vectors is email. So it's really important that the users are informed, kept up to date, and trained to recognize phishing emails, for example. It can really make a big difference and help prevent security incidents in early stages. So yeah, the world has changed. Devices are no longer behind the corporate firewalls and UTMs. You do not have those security layers as you did when the devices were within the company environment. Low-end home routers are now the gateways to the internet. Personal devices will be in use almost for sure. So you need to make sure that you know about these devices and have them under your control, having data privacy and data protection in mind. As this is a personal device, you will need to balance the thin line between security and data privacy. Additionally, having more devices under your control may also imply that you need to think about your SLAs. Do all these devices fit into existing SLAs, or you need to reconsider your rates and so on. We see a lot of VPN and remote control taking place, so we need to make sure that this is done in a secure way. So what's the impact of this change? So the risk of infection or data theft to the home office device is relatively high. We have a lot of malicious emails circling around. There are a lot of websites that have malicious content on. There is a lot of unpatched software that's that can be found in home office environments. There's also a risk presented by other devices on the network. So there's a lot of Internet of Things devices that can be unsecure. Other computers as well, privately owned home office PCs, may not be up to date, may not even have a valid operating system. There's a lot of things going on in home office environments. So also there is, of course, a concern about security. How secure are the passwords being used in this environment? Does a person have admin access to the router and so on? There's also a thing that it may happen. It would not be so strange that employee uses company device for their own personal needs, whether it's email or something else. So you have to make sure that these things do not happen, because if you have email security in place and maybe some kind of archiving option, you will have a lot of personal data on your hands really fast. Also, there is a concern about lack of visibility into the home environment. You can't manage a system without a monitoring agent. You need to have some kind of footprint in this environment and, some kind of, let's say, general overview of the devices and software and everything that's going on there. Also, what's really, a big factor, and we need to understand, is that users don't maintain the same security mindset at home as they do at work, because when they are in company at work, they know that there is a lot of different security layers. There are watchdogs that keep an eye on what's everybody doing, from, of course, security reasons. So they will not necessarily click on a certain link, go to a certain website that they usually would do when they are at home. So that's also something that we need to consider. And also a big, of course, change and big factor in all this is that users tend to have more documents saved locally. So instead of having the contracts or documents or whatever they are working on saved on your company network, it will most likely be that most of these documents will be saved on these devices that are being used in home office environments. So we need to think about a backup strategy, how to backup those documents, preferably to the cloud, to have them on a safe and protected location. So as I said, we'll talk about two approaches we can take how to handle the situations. So first approach would be just completely eliminating the environment factor. Just transform the existing infrastructure to the cloud infrastructure with desktop and application publishing solution, or you can just accept the infrastructure as it is and try to apply additional security layers to protect those employees and devices that are in the home office environment. So, desktop and application publishing. This is just an approach of creating a digital workspace in the browser, and there is a lot of advantages to this approach. It reduces the complexity of implementation. You don't need any VPNs. You don't need any installations on servers or and devices. You can transform legacy or even CAD applications into the cloud. There is a certain simplicity to this approach because you can really stream all web applications, native applications, desktops, and data into a personalized workspace in the browser. This also means that if a client, and there is a lot of them out there that have certain client server applications that are being used on daily basis, and employees would need normally access to these applications, you can actually easily transform these type of applications into a cloud applications and give employees access through the browser. And of course, there is a lot of additional security layers that come with this approach. So to give you a little bit wider or a bigger picture, here specifically we are talking about one-click cloud platform. So one-click is a turnkey cloud service with integrated security for the provisioning and delivery of applications and data. The platform is based on best practices in IT security, and namely the principles of zero trust architecture, which gives you all these security layers. There will be a specific webinar, a specific session only on this topic. We will have it in a week or two. We will of course inform everybody. So everybody who wants to know more about this, please just sign up for this session. We will talk about, of course, technical aspects, about pricing, about licensing, about everything there is to know about the platform itself, how it works. We will do a live demo, so you can actually get a lot of really useful data. But just for the sake of today's conversation, and as we are talking about security for home and office, I will just go through some of security layers that come with one-click cloud platform that actually makes your life much easier. This is platform based on zero trust architecture. That means that everyone who wants access to resources or services in the network is not trusted by default. So every access, whether from outside or inside, is individually authenticated. So users are not only checked each time they log in, but their trust status is continuously challenged during the session. If a change is detected that poses a risk, the granted access to the services, of course, interrupted. As we know, connections that remain open to the internet can be entry points for malware attacks. And these include, for example, Microsoft Exchange terminal or RDS servers or client-to-site VPN connections to the company network. They are often used in home office and in field service and are especially vulnerable. So because no client-to-site VPN connections are required with this solution, the platform closes known enter gates by design. So there is simply no point of attack for malware anymore. The apps and desktops are streamed to web browser, and that means that no end device can infect an application server because direct communication between the user and the target system is entirely ruled out. It also does not matter anymore whether all updates and patches are available on the endpoint devices within the home environment. So basically what one-click cloud platform is, it's an additional layer between the backend and the end users. So what you do is actually you connect your existing infrastructure to the one-click cloud platform and then deliver the apps or desktops or data, whatever, through a browser, through a stream. This means that basically only an image of a connected system reaches the receiver. There is no risk of lost, stolen, or defective end devices because applications and data never leave the secure hosting location. Control signals like from the mouse or the keyboard are transmitted back asynchronously, and the connection between the streaming servers and the user browsers is encrypted with 256-bit TLS 1.2 protocol. So in general, one-click platform is based on pay-per-use model. You just don't have to buy licenses. You pay monthly for services that you use. There is no upfront fees or any limitations. You can publish one app or 100 applications, and you simply pay as you go. It's integrated with Microsoft Azure. So, for example, if you don't have your own infrastructure that you want to publish or share, you can actually deploy all types of servers and operating systems and applications directly from the one-click cloud platform, and you will be basically built based on your consumptions. If you want to know more about this approach, we will have the specific webinar about it soon. I will send all the updates and invitations. At the moment, you can jump to our site to get more info about this platform. And yeah, if for any reason you don't find this approach for you best option or best solution, you can just always accept the existing home office infrastructure as it is and apply layered security, so different layers of security in order to protect the current environments. The focus here is, of course, on the endpoint devices, because endpoint devices has to be protected. And of course, you have to additionally to all these security layers, think about, user education and trainings, and keep them all informed so they can actually recognize any potential security issues within their devices. So when we talk about layered security approach, there are few core layers that we need to protect no matter what. As we have seen, with the latest reports, email phishing, RDP compromise, software vulnerability are the most common attack vectors. So we need to protect those email systems. We need to, make sure that systems are properly patched and that we have endpoint protection in place. So when we're talking about endpoint protection, we're talking about next generation antivirus. So EPP, EDR products that are based on artificial intelligence and process injection. So they are not based on signatures. They are not based on definitions. They don't need connection to the internet to, get the latest updates or, signatures, so they can protect the devices properly. They are based, they're working on process analysis, and based on the activity of the process, they can, determine whether the process is malicious or not, and stop any, malicious activity right in place. Additionally, what they offer, what is really good, you have different security options that come with them, which is one of them is a network isolation, which means that if this endpoint protection product detects any kind of malicious activity, it can automatically disconnect the device from the network and prevent any spread of malware or ransomware across the network. It also provides a really in-depth analysis of the incident, so you can actually see what was included in the incident. Is the incident only localized on a specific device? What kind of processes were included? Did it actually manage to spread across the network and other devices in home office environment? And also based on this, you can see what kind of files were changed. Did it add some kind of DLLs? Did it add something to the registry? Did it delete or encrypt some files, and so on? And not only that, you can actually see what happened. There is a really cool option of rollback that enables you to revert all these changes. You can really easily and fast get the device back to its normal state by using the rollback function, which will actually revert all the changes that were made to this device by any kind of malicious activity. Patch management is also important. We need to make sure that the systems are up to date, that they're protected. And email protection, actually email protection would be applied in, I would say, both of the cases. Even if you're, for example, using the first approach, you still would have to use some kind of email protection for additional security, because email is the primary entry point for ransomware and other malicious content. And it's also good that users are trained to recognize this kind of threats. Then you can consider additional security layers. When we are talking about security, it's really just the question how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go. It depends, of course, on you. It depends on the customer. You can apply endless layers of security, but it's always the question of finding what level of security is enough for you to be, satisfied, or for your customers to be satisfied. And balance between, of course, costs and security. So when we're talking about additional things to consider, we are talking about web protection. Of course, you need to, protect your users from the malicious links, from the websites that have malicious content. There is a lot of browser drive-by, infections that are really, hard to detect and prevent. You have to, or you should, let's say, consider password management. Encourage your users to use unique and complex passwords, or have a solution in place that can help them, do that. Backup, of course, is a really big and important part, especially now with the home office environments, as we see that they might be, personally owned devices in use. So you have to be able to implement a backup solution that can define what type of data, will you back up exactly, and where will you back up all this data, because they're in home office environments. So you need some kind of platform that can help you to back up that data to the cloud. And of course, additionally, data exfiltration protection is something to consider, because 70% of ransomware attacks are actually involve the threat to leak exfiltrated data. And not only just ransomware or malware attacks. Data exfiltration is something that happens on a daily basis, usually by legal means. Every website has some kind of tracking cookies. Every company tries to collect user data, which can be then used for creating some profiles and for marketing purposes. But also there is a way for let's say hackers to use these technologies to actually exfiltrate customer data, which can then help them also create some kind of profiles, whether it's to break the passwords or get access to the environment. So yeah, this is something that you should consider. So what are additional things you should consider? Set up secure access back into the network. Make these employees a VPN, and then make them to log in to remote desktop, using VPN connections. Use remote access tools that require authentication, or a PAM solution. It depends really on the size of the customer and the complexity of their environment. PAM solutions, are basically meant for bigger companies because of financial aspect of it, but there are some products also that are fitted for SMB. So yeah, these are all things you can consider. Maybe some customers would like a PAM solution to increase their security. Maybe for some of them it's enough as it is. So also you might have to make sure the Wi-Fi and the router are configured properly, that they have sufficiently strong passwords. You have to make sure that administration password is not, a default one, that it's changed, that you have to be aware who has access to it, and so on, that firmware is regularly updated. 2FA everything you can, just everywhere you can apply two-factor authentication. At this point, it's good to have. Many home users will still be using Windows 7, so you really don't know what's happening on these personally or home-owned devices. There are for sure operating systems that are not supported. There are for sure applications that are not licensed properly, and these are all things that you have to consider. Big research from Avast PC Trends showed that 55% of all programs worldwide are actually out of date. They were either EOL or not supported at all. For cloud resources, set conditional access for users accessing from home. Require additional authentication from outside the office. Create clean work user profiles. Should not be, of course, sharing profiles if the users are actually using their home computers. Document anything that was removed or changed to get back to the original state at the end of this year. And don't forget the company security. I mean, even if there's nobody in the office, there's still a lot of things to do and, to maintain. So, yeah, we are already past the initial phase. Everybody's working remotely. They're getting used to the new, let's say, the new normal. Um, we actually don't know what will happen in the future in the next few weeks, next few months, but we can prepare. When it comes to working remotely, the question is, are you actually, yourself staying remote or partially remote? Are your clients, staying remote or partially remote? These are really, important things to know how to adjust to these new situations. You have to think about new procedures for on-site work. If it's possible, try to do more remotely, so limit the on-site visits as much as possible. If you have to do on-site visits, then make sure that your technicians have personal protection according to health recommendations. You have to think what kind of difference does this make for your current procedures, and then adjust and implement additional procedures to tackle these changes. So, of course, the big question and the big important thing is to revisit security posture and processes that you have in place. You have to think about how will you handle hardware failures. So, I mean, whether it's a home or let's say a personal device or company-owned device, there's still a big question. Will you have, for example, few devices on a standby that you can maybe send out to the customers if they have problem with their devices until the problem is resolved. So also for sure you will have situations where customers will have issues with bandwidth or internet connection. So you will have to somehow see what's going on, where's the problem. Is it on customer side or employee side or a company side, and implement certain fixes and help customers stay productive. Also, there is a cleaning procedures and handoffs that you need to think about when customer takes a specific device, or brings a specific device that needs to be fixed. And of course, staying prepared for the next work from home event. So what's really important to consider here? What we need technically, we need to document what you did on those home devices. Go through your tickets, check what was happening. Did you, actually remove some applications, install some applications? What exactly was going on? You need to document the standard setup. Use your RMM tool to monitor what basic apps are installed in these environments. Treat these work from home devices as a work devices for now. If you can, don't uninstall anything yet till we get a clear picture of the whole situation. If the customer requests it, disable any self-healing or automated maintenance you may have on these devices. And it's really important to know that some people will return to work partially, only for a few days a week. So you need to identify what are these users and what are these devices that will be used in this type of way, and keep or let's say apply adequate maintain services for this. So at the end, we have to consider that some people are not going back. They will continue working from home. A lot of companies will use this to reduce their costs, to downsize their offices, and so on. So you should consider expanding your agreements and offerings to include these temporary measures that you have in place as some kind of permanent options for your customers. Also, do your customers want to continue with those remote access options? That's a question that needs to be asked. Make sure that you go back and secure firewalls to only allow connections from those devices that will continue to work from home, and remove all other rules. And add all these newly supported at-home environments to your monitoring systems. You should focus on areas that may have been skipped during the push to work from home, and configure additional access to challenge, for 2FAs when people are not in the office. when we're talking about going back to the office, it's recommended to have some kind of plan that needs to be discussed, with the customer. So how are we actually doing this, transition if a customer decides that they will start working from the office? How many employees are coming back? Which are those employees? Are there any on-premises servers or equipment that were turned off that we need to, bring back on, of course? Did they take equipment home that must be returned, reintegrated, and resecured before connecting it to the company network? Did they receive any loaner equipment from you, that needs to be returned? Did you document the setup you did? Does the customer want you to undo all these changes and so on? So, in order to do all these things, you need, of course, a proper set of tools that help you address all these issues and changes. So, first, of course, you need to have some kind of remote management and monitoring tool that can give you the control of the new environment. So you need to have a foot in. You need to have some kind of asset tracking at least in place, so you know what's going on in these networks. What are the devices there? What is the software there installed? You also need to have easy access to this environment, whether it's a remote desk connection, SSH, remote background, and so on. You need to have a tool that can help you support all types of devices, whether it's Windows, Mac, Linux, whether it's network devices, and so on. What's really good with and about SolarWinds RMM is that it gives you all these functionalities out of the box. So you can really easily install an agent on a home office device, define what you want to monitor. Let's say you want to just use asset tracking to get a better understanding of the environment, what's going on there. Then additionally to that, you can apply all these security layers that we mentioned. So patch management, endpoint detection and response. So this next generation antivirus. You can do a web filtering, have self-healing and automation functionalities within the platform. And this is really, let's say, a crucial and important part of this, that once you install and, let's say, get the environment under control, that you can automate as much as you can. That you can automate your standard operating procedures, so you don't lose a lot of time for handling all these devices that were maybe not initially even in your SLAs and your service contracts. So, of course, you need to have an option of device discovery for this environment, fast backup and disaster recovery, options of implementing, 2FAs and user audits, mobile device management if necessary, and network management functionalities. So what you get with SolarWinds RMM is you can apply this layered security approach that we talked about a few slides ago. You have the possibilities of automating everything. You have option of reports, whether it's a weekly, monthly, or user activity audit, or just user audit in regards to data privacy, so that you can actually see and later on present to the customers who from your technicians has accessed what parts of the home office systems, what did they see, what was the reason for that, and so on. You have management possibilities, remote access, SSH, remote background, patch management, and so on. Everything is controlled from the platform itself. It's easy to use. It's simple to implement the product, and it doesn't require a lot of trainings, to implement, this type of security layers. And the platform is flexible, meaning it's just it's based on the pay-per-use, so you can start your account and then pay as you go. You don't need to, of course, buy any upfront licenses or contracts and so on. Yeah, of course, it comes with the next generation antivirus, which is a really, really big plus, and password management options. The next thing we need to think about is backup. So how will we, protect all this data and all these documents that are on these home devices? Where will we store these backups? What exactly will we, backup? So Solarwinds Backup is integrated within RMM platform. So you can actually choose to do a backup from RMM product directly, from the same interface. But also there is a standalone platform that has additional, let's say, availabilities or advantages, because from standalone platform you can actually do a backup of servers, whether it's physical or virtual. You can do a backup of workstations also. So these endpoint devices, you can do different type of backups for workstations. So you can do a full backup and disaster recovery, or you can just do a backup of documents. You can back up a Microsoft 365 accounts as well. So there are different possibilities that come with the standalone console. Solarwinds Backup is based on True Delta technology. It's a cloud-first backup. That means that your data will be in cloud. There will be also a local instance of the backup in your local vault. You just have to define where you want to have this vault, and the rest of the data will be every other backup after the first one will be sent to cloud. But as this is your True Delta technology, that means that backup is done on the based on blocks. So any changes that happen from the last backup to the next one, these changes will be saved in blocks and sent to the cloud platform. So it's a software as a service solution. You don't need additional appliances on the customer environment. You can do a bare metal restore. You can do a virtual recovery. You can do file folder recovery. You can create a warm standby server with continuous recovery. You can do a fast file and folder level recovery. And you can recover at LAN speeds with local speed vault. So basically, when it comes to recovery, you can utilize your local speed vault that you have and changes that you have in blocks that are in cloud. So when you do, for example, a restore of a device or specific documents, what it does, it actually takes base data from the local speed vault and different in blocks depending on from which backup you want to get the data from the cloud. So it's a really fast recovery solution. This here, I just mentioned a specific plan that's available. So this is a data protection plan that you can sign up for, with Solarwinds Backup standalone product. It comes with monthly fee of 250 euros, but what you get is you get actually, you can back up, virtual servers. Technically the price is 20 euros per virtual server, and you get 2 terabytes of storage included. So the same as for physical server, the price is 35 euros, and you get 2 terabytes of storage, cloud storage included. For endpoint devices, it costs 7 euros per device, and it per month, of course, and it comes with 500 gigabytes of storage included. So basically what you're getting is a backup solution, and you get cloud storage within the price. And these prices per device are actually included in this 250 euros of minimum. So let's say technically, for the sake of conversation, for this 250 euros of monthly minimum, you would be able to back up 10, 12 virtual servers, and you would get 24 terabytes of storage included within this price. Additionally, what's a big plus is, as I said, you can apply different backup options to endpoint, devices, to workstations. So you don't have to do a full backup and disaster recovery. You can just choose a backup of documents, which will then gather all documents from a specific device and backup it to the cloud. And you will have 30 days or 28 days of backups to restore from. So the retention policy is technically 28 days for these backups. And there is no limitation on the data. Within this Solarwinds data protection plan, you get 1,000 workstation document licenses for free. So you don't pay anything additionally for this. And also you can get Office 365 backup licenses for the first year for free. The amount of the licenses, it really depends on your backup plan. So if you have, 250 euros minimum, you get certain amount. If you have, bigger, monthly costs, you get more, and so on. So I actually even have, I'm not sure, maybe I can show just shortly, although this wasn't quite planned. Just to give you an idea, so the advantages of this type of backup is that if I'm a employee sitting at home on my home device and I accidentally, delete some kind of file or something that I don't need specifically today, I can open a local management console for my device and access all my backups straight from here. So if I, let's say, want to recover, a specific file, I can just go to the restore, select the date I want to, choose, and select the data I want to recover. So it's really, that easy. Just choose the file that you have accidentally deleted and restore it to, my laptop. So it also makes it a little bit easier for a service provider when a customer has specific, let's say, self healing options, because the product is so simple. It makes it easier for you. You don't have to actually, every time that the customer deletes something or loses something, you don't have to go and, restore it for them. They can do it for themselves. So that's how flexible the platform is. So, of course, just to mention that in regards to backup, we will also have a specific, session on backup. So we will send, of course, all the invitations. So who wants to know more, we will be happily to share it with you. And in the end, as I mentioned already, within the RMM itself, we have next-gen antivirus implemented, just to understand what we are talking about. So this is based on Sentinel-1, next-generation antivirus solution. It's a product that can help you protect from ransomware, malware, and all types of attacks. They are really guarantee ransomware protection. They're based on artificial intelligence engines. They don't use signature, or they don't depend on definitions to protect the devices properly. So even if a device is not connected to the internet and you reconnect it after 6 months, it will still be protected. It protects from malicious documents and scripts because they use process injection. They can actually see what kind of activity is a script or a document doing once is executed. What's a really big plus, the fact that they protect from fileless exploits, which are really tricky because fileless exploits are executed directly in the memory of endpoint. So there is no file on the disk system. So having no file means there is no way for standard antiviruses to check the signature of this, let's say, process or a file, because there is no file. So basically, what's important is next-gen antivirus protects from these fileless exploits. They can, prevent any lateral movement by disconnecting devices from the network. They can, quarantine and kill, roll back all the changes that were done to the specific device. They can, of course, disconnect the device and completely, as I said, isolate the network. And you have the overview of the whole attack history through advanced forensics. So now that we, mentioned a little bit about the current environment, the trends, about the technology and the solutions you can use, the only thing that is left to think about is, the services. So how do we actually adapt our services to this, let's say, new normal? Well, it also depends what type of or level of service you want to provide. When we are talking about security packages, let's say, there is some kind of bare minimum that you should provide to your customers. So as we said, endpoint protection, email protection, web protection, patch management, these are all some kind of basic things that are really important to have in place. Additionally, you can create some kind of advanced packages that include a little bit more. So that, include, let's say, trainings, internal vulnerability management, password management, for example, two-factor authentication, and so on. And you can also create some kind of comprehensive security packages. This will also, of course, depend heavily on what's your type of business, because maybe, in some of cases, you will have to partner up with managed security provider. So this is something to think about. And when we talk about, let's say, these core and bare minimum packages that are easily provided with SolarWinds RMM product, we have some kind of, let's say, bundle suggestions that you can do. So you can do, for example, a bundle of managed endpoint security, patch management, managed mail protection, and managed web protection, which really cover the basic security protection. You can offer it as this is, for example, a cost that we see across our partner base, that they're providing these services across EU in these rates. So one of, let's say, this kind of packages would cost an end user 12 euros per person, and for a company of 20 people, this would cost around 240 euros per month. So translated to kunas, for example, we are talking about, let's say, 100 kuna approximately, give or take, per device or per person, and a monthly price of around, let's say, 2,000 kunas. So, of course, you always have to think about the cost up approach, when you consider pricing for this type of services. There is a lot of content about this on MSP Institute, and you can actually, see what kind of costs do you as a service provider have for this type of bundle, and what kind of, margin. And in case of RMM, these margins are really, good, and I think, anybody would be happy with this type of packages and margins. What's really important to know that you can find a lot of this content on the MSP Institute. So on MSP Institute, you have really a lot of business-oriented webinars, or videos or content trainings that you can do, which can help you position better your services, create maybe better packages and so on. There's a lot of course, technical content, technical trainings and educations. There is a lot of, marketing content. So if you want to know more about these packages, or, suggestions how to package your services, or how to market and sell your services, please just refer to MSP Institute. I'm sure you can find a lot of useful materials there. And, at the end, now that you know about the technology, you have, seen a little bit about the products and the solutions, the only thing is left is to try them. So please let us know if anybody is interested into a trial of a SolarWinds RMM, of a SolarWinds Backup product. We will be happy to assist you with your trials. We can offer you a tech walks and demos, to help get started. If anybody would like to have a trial, please just drop a trial message into the chat, or you can also do it later directly from our webpage. You have all sign up forms. You can open any trial you would like to test. So, and here we are on our Q&A session. So just let me give me a moment to check our chat to see if we have any questions. Yurica, you can also maybe, as I was not following during the presentation, the chat, you can also maybe, guide me here. Do you see any questions on your side?
Yes, we have few questions.
Okay.
Can I read it? Or?
Yeah, please, just, let's go through them.
Is it possible, you mentioned one click, is it possible to use some external storage with one click?
It is. You can actually provide, data through web browsers. So there is an option to connect the existing infrastructure and stream this directly to a personalized workspace in the browser, because it's based on Kubernetes and the design that OneClick has. Yes, this is possible.
Can you use VPN solutions with OneClick?
Well, it's not the question technically. If you can, you should use, because when you're connecting your infrastructure with one-click platform, so your backend, you need to use VPN to have a secure connection between one-click and your infrastructure. On the end user side, there is no need to use VPNs because of the streaming technology that is used to deliver these applications and desktops.
Also, you mentioned EDR solution. There is automatic rollback. So where is the data stored, and is it protected from tampering?
Well, the data is stored on the device itself. EDR utilizes the volume shadow copy functionality of the device. So in order to use rollback functionality, you have to enable volume shadow copy on the device. What EDR does is it creates additional encrypted volume shadow copy that only EDR can access, and as it uses the local device to store this data, it uses around, let's say, from 5 up to 20% of the existing disk space for this services.
When using RMM to monitor these devices that you are now monitoring at home, so can you monitor also mobile devices or maybe use another solution?
Well, there is an MDM, functionality integrated within RMM. It's pretty, let's say, basic. So you can see, you can actually define 2 different ways you want to monitor an MDM device. So you can, define it as a company owned or as a personal owned. If it's a company owned, then you will have a little bit more data about the device. You will be able to see, the history of calls. Not, of course, you will not be able to, see the calls or messages and so on, but you will be able to see when were the calls made, when were the texts sent, and so on. With personally owned devices, you can actually, have the basic functionality without, seeing any personal data. You can reset the passwords. You can, wipe the device and so on, depending on your needs.
Also, there's a question about Solarwinds Backup solutions.
Okay.
Can client use file servers or NAS devices as local speed vault?
Yes, as long as the device that you want to backup has access to this, parts of the network, yes, you can use them as a speed vault.
So device should be connected to same network segment.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be visible because you install an agent, a backup agent on the endpoint device, and from this device, then you then you configure, your local vault and other things. So if you want to have your local backup on a NAS, you just have to make sure that this device has access to the NAS.
So far, no new questions. So if anybody wants to ask something, feel free to ask.
Yeah, we will give it, let's say, a minute to see if we will have some questions coming. At the end, I just want to, say thank you to everybody, who joined us today. In case you don't have any, questions at the moment, you can always reach out to us via phone or the email. We have also our website where you will find additional, useful information. So in case you just need anything, either visit our website or get in touch with us. So let's just leave it for a minute or two, see if we will have any new questions, and if not, we will end it for the day. And before we end all this, I just want to say thank you one more time to everybody and wish you all a really nice day. So as I see at the moment that there is no new questions, I think we can finish for today, not to keep everybody on the call. Thank you one more time, everyone, for joining us today, and hope to see you all soon on our next web sessions. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.